Patreon, going strong. If you want to go over there and join in on the fun, we got 3 tiers on Canadian dollars. First tier is $3 a month, where you get these episodes ad free. You also get AMAs once a month, or learn about me episodes once a month. And then on the second tier, which is $5 a month, you get everything from the first tier, as well as coverage of a reality show of yesteryear. That's right now Jersey Shore, currently in season 3. You can also go to the main feed, where there will be the first episode of every season released there. So you can try that before you head over to the Patreon. And then on the third tier, you get everything from the first 2 tiers, as well as coverage from a true crime documentary. We got the backlog of Ashley Madison documentary, Man with 1,000 Kids, Into the Fire, Lacey Peterson, and again, all those episodes for the first episode of each is in the main feed, so you can try that before you head over. So if you are interested, you can head over to patreon.com/realityt times 2, and you can sign up for whichever tier you feel for. Again, you can try before you buy, which basically means you can try any tier for a week before committing to it. Even if you are on other tier, if you are on tier 1 or the first tier and you want to go over to the second tier, you could still try that second tier for a week before committing to the upgrade. So again, that is at patreon.com/realityt times 2. And of course, the link is in the show notes, website, social media accounts. It's all available there. This episode is ad-free on the Patreon. So if you want to partake in that, you can head on over to patreon.com/realityt times 2. Welcome to Reality Tea Times 2, the podcast where we discuss all the trash reality TV we love to hate. I'm Tanika, and today we're going to be discussing Love is Blind UK After the Altar. So for those who haven't seen it, or you don't even know it's available, it is a part of the last season of Love is Blind. Towards the bottom, it's episode 12, 13, and 14. This episode, I'm going to be covering episodes 12 and 13, and then tomorrow we'll be covering episode 14 alongside with the ultimatum episode 1 and 2. So let's just jump into this, shall we? So we see in the beginning that Katisha, apparently, it's kind of like snippets of like social media and stuff, that she, according to Javen, which who knows if this is actually true, tried to go back to him, and he has receipts apparently, and I would like to see those receipts for 2 reasons. Number 1, if it's true and Katisha actually did try to go back to him, girl, you good. Number 2, if not true, Javen, you fucking suck. But we knew this already. Right after the tell-all, we find out that Cal hard launched a new relationship. Huh. So what I didn't remember, because obviously this was a year ago, apparently, if you remember correctly, from the reunion tell-all, whatever we call this, he actually said that if he couldn't make it work with Sarover, there we go again, y'all, Sarover, I love her. Okay, then clearly it's not gonna work with anybody. Okay, so when in 2 twos you have a new girlfriend, cool beans. And apparently, if we remember this too, Sarover actually said during the reunion that she thought that he may have had another girlfriend. Then it turns out it might be the same girl. So anyways, let's continue. But before we do, I have to say this. Freddie! I love him. So I'm gonna have some thoughts. I love seeing, the drop-ins from the previous seasons. Or I guess, yeah, previous season, right? There's only been 2. I don't remember how many seasons there's been. I think too. But anyways, the I love seeing that because obviously I love Freddie. We saw Demi or Demi. It was Demi. Um, so that was nice. So I love that. But I'm gonna have some more thoughts. I'm gonna keep it for a second. Anyways, we're at the baby shower. It's Jasmine and Bobby's baby shower. Um, they're having a boy. I don't know if they mentioned that during the show, but I'm mentioning it now. So we have 4 different meetups going at the same time I think 3 alongside the baby shower. But anyways, Barda says, so Cal posted pics of his girlfriend. And Sophie's like, what? She's eating this up. As we can predict here, Cal and Sarover are still married, as is Ashley and Billy. Okay, they're still married as well. And he hasn't said a word to her about the fact that he has this new girlfriend. He hasn't, thought beyond himself and figured, hey, let me just let my wife know that I have a new girlfriend before I hard launch her. Fucking jerk. Sarover suspected that he was with someone and that it is the same gym girl who she thought he was with during the reunion. So we see Sarover. I can't say Sarover, it's weird. Talking to Jasmine, saying, because she's at the baby shower, they have each other blocked at this point, but he did unblock her enough to tell her, hey, you got the certificate. Are you going to do it? Like, are you going to do the divorce since you're the one that has the marriage certificate? How about, how about this? How about, are you going to fuck yourself? Can you please? Thank you very much. You've got the dick. So can you just fuck yourself? That'd be great. Like, what? I hate this fucking guy. I hate that I liked him. I think that's the thing. When I like you and then you prove to me you are a shit person, listen. Like, it's not like with that other dude, the African guy who was with Raven. What's the fucking name again? Uh, whatever. I don't care. But it wasn't like with him. Whereas like, yeah, loving him, but I don't know. Um, Maybe that was just my experience of dating Nigerian men and just being able to pinpoint the bullshit. But with Cal, with the other guy that we see later, Steven, I believed in you. I liked you. And you basically proved to me men suck. That's what you did. Thank you so much for that. Listen, this is why we can't marry gym rats. Like, literally. Steven owned a gym and Cal's a gym rat. Oops. Anyways, um, she said yes, she was gonna get it done. A week later, he posted about his girlfriend. Nice to know. Fuck him. With Cal and Billy, Billy says he has been going out on a few dates with one girl that he knew before the show. But him and Ashley are, like I said, already legally married. And the thing is like, Billy, I don't like that you're friends with Cal. It makes me think that you're a shitty person too, but honestly, what we'll kind of see as the episodes go on, that thank God he's not like Cal at all. Like, I don't like how he handled himself with the marriage, but you can tell he actually does give a shit about her, whereas Cal clearly doesn't give a shit about Saroba at all. It's disgusting. Anyway, Ashley says that she has filed for divorce, so, at least that process has started. Barda says Jed wasn't being serious about a conversation and she was getting hate and he wasn't there for her. My question for Barda, and this is actually something he brings up himself later, what did you want him to do? You chose not to go forward with him. So it is not his responsibility to protect you from the hate. But what also she's saying, which I get this part, is don't fuel the hate. Because apparently he was liking things that people were saying about her. And again, fueling that hate. That's not cool. So yeah, he says from his perspective, he thought that they have squashed their issues. Then the next day he finds out that she's talking shit again. And I think her potentially talking shit had to do with the fact that he was liking posts. Charlie, who is a pod rando, they're going to start calling them this, says, but she broke up with you at the altar. I'm just saying. Okay, sure, she did. And it was completely out of the blue. No one expected that. But doesn't mean he should feel the hate. But I think he honestly doesn't even realize that's what he's doing. So Katisha says that Damola and her actually tried. Honey bunny, let me say this. You had your chance with Damola. You chose instead to go to Javen over Damola, who was definitely going to marry you, or at the very least going to make the effort to get there. Unlike Javen. Like, you don't get to have a second chance. Not really. But anyways, they would talk for hours. It kind of felt like the pod all over again. And she says it was going good. Then one day he went on vacation and he came back and says, can we have a pause? And she's like, what, like a break? And he's like, no, breaks do final. He doesn't want to take a pause. It's really interesting because Damola doesn't come across as a person who would do this. But let's continue. She says, as if he wanted to fuck around and find out, essentially. And she says, according to her, he didn't deny that when she brought that up to him. Again, though, it doesn't feel like Damola. Maybe I don't know who the fuck Damola is. Maybe he's more like Javen than we realize. But it doesn't appear that Damola is that kind of person. Here's the thing. I don't fully trust Katisha. And it's not that I think she's lying, but I think it's more about the fact that she misinterprets things and blows it out of proportion to the point where it can become a lie. So, for example, the whole Javon situation, do I think she would have tried to go back to him if the opportunity presented itself? Yes. Unfortunately, though, I don't know who to believe in that situation because Javon's not trustworthy and Katisha's not trustworthy in two very different ways. So I don't know who to believe. But when it comes to Damola and Katisha, it just doesn't feel like him to do this to her. So more on that later, though. Then Javon says, yeah, we talked all the time, me and Katisha, for hours sometimes. Why the fuck you didn't? But now I'm blocked. That's probably the only truthful thing he said. And I don't know why, really. My phone autocorrected to demolition says, but it's Demola says. Yeah, we talked to heart on my sleeve type situation. She poured her heart out, and I thought maybe there was something there. And this is where. I don't know if he vocalized this to her, but this rings some truth to me. Now we need to connect the pieces, but here's what he says. He says, but then I went away and it fizzled out. And he does put it on her, the reason why they fizzled. So yeah, for him, she's the reason it ended. But again, it's like, hmm, I believe that more than I believe her story. But I guess my question again is connecting those pieces is, did it fizzle out on her part because something was either said or not said, or action made her think he wanted this pause, as she says? He won't deny that he said that. But I guess I'm curious as to why he said it. There's something not being communicated between these two people. Freddie, after being on the perfect match, he's still single, y'all. It's okay. He'll get there. He'll find his person. I believe in him. I love him so much. Jasmine's mom is trying to hook up Sarover and Freddie. You know what? I could believe it. Freddie is the perfect man for her in a sense where he's going to respect her. He's going to dote on her. I love Freddie, and I think any choice for Freddie is a great choice. I don't know if he's typically Sarover's type, and I think he is a bit younger than her, but not by much. But I think it could work. I think Mama Jasmine's onto something. Hey, you never know. Anyways, So yeah, this is where we see some of the people from the previous season. We obviously just talked about Freddie. Demi, whatever her name was again, has a new man in her life. Good for her. Sabrina, who was with Steven, if you remember, the one couple who we thought if they could go the distance and they didn't, not even close because Steven's a piece of shit. But anyways, she's still in the process of filing for her divorce. And that fucker, aka Steven, doesn't know shit because he doesn't even get access to her now. He's not talking to her. She said, listen, he didn't want to talk to me in my marriage. So why the fuck should I talk to him now? Claps. Claps, queen. You're queen. I love her too. Fuck Steven. Oh my God. Okay. So, oh look, it's the fucker, aka Steven. It's a group of fuckers except for Freddie because Freddie's the best. We love Freddie. But it's literally Steven, Cal. I don't know if Jimmy was there, but you know what? I'm gonna take Jimmy kind of out of that too. We're gonna say he's kind of half a fucker, but not like fully a fucker. He has chance to be like redeem himself from being a fucker, so it's fine. But I can't remember Jimmy was actually in this group here, but Cal was. And like as I said, Steven was, and then we had our baby boy Freddie. I love him. Anyways, and these three idiots. So yes, it must have been Jimmy too. Jimmy, sorry, Billy. Being like, "Oh, it's me. The girls could have said no to us. Why didn't they say no? Fuck off. Fuck all the way off. Listen to me here. Can I go through the three men? Let's start with number one. So let's start with Sarover and Cal. We believed as an audience that this was how it was supposed to go. It had to end with the two of you being married. We loved you as a couple. We loved you as individuals. There was no reason that your marriage, from the outside perspective, would have fallen apart. Is it not possible that from inside, that Sarover wouldn't have thought that 3 months after she said I do, that her marriage was going to be falling apart? Let's move on to Steven. Again, another couple where from the outside perspective, there was no other way that this was going to go than them getting married. We loved them. We thought that they will go the distance. They had to. And there was some worry about the distance, stuff like that, because I think, she's Irish. So she was in Ireland. He lived in London. Like we weren't sure how that was going to go, but they seemed to kind of figure it out what the plan was for making it work. There's no reason. And lo and behold, here we are. They're not together, right? Now, the only ones here that I think may have missed, not blaring red flags, but red flags nonetheless, was Ashley with the whole like controlling how she eats and shit. That was weird. But to the core of it all, oh, yes, and also Billy having an issue with the fact that she was stewardess. But the bottom line of it all is we thought that they were going to work as well. We thought they were going to go the distance. Is it not possible that these three women also thought that their marriages were going to go the distance and they were going to work? Yes. So why wouldn't they say yes to marrying you? Why is it now their fault that they didn't say no to you and now look at us, everybody hates us? Wah. Fuck off. Except for Freddie. Freddie, you're perfect. And Billy, you'll be fine. You'll get there. But like, really? Fuck off. I hate these freaking men. Except for Freddie, my baby Freddie. I love him very much. But I love him. But why are you hanging out with these guys? It must be producer driven. It has to be. Really? I hate Cal. I hate Steve. Oh, I hate Cal. Oh, if I could punch a man in the face, it would be Cal. Ooh, oof. Oh, God. Oh, I'm happy I'd never have to necessarily see this man ever again in my life. I hate Cal so much. I forgot that I hate Steven because I forgot about him, to be entirely honest with you. But when I saw his face and I'm like, oof, oof. Yep, there it is. There goes the hate. Cause like we believed in you. We were all rooting for you. I gotta stop using that line. After the whole ATM, America, ANTM documentary. Yeah. Anyways, that's that though. That's episode 12. We're gonna take a quick break here, and when we come back, we'll jump in with episode 13. Hi everyone. I got something for you to take part in, and that is stress audio. Now, this is something stress that we all deal with in all aspects of our lives, something that I definitely deal with in mine, and definitely something that I don't want to be dealing with in mine. But this stress audio is something that can aid at that. They have many different things that are available, like a sleep bundle where you can fall asleep faster, wake up feeling more rested, and get back to sleep quickly. They have this little bundle that can help with all of that. You can also do listening session, which is a session for stress. It's a book, which is a 30-minute session there, and you can look into that if that's something that you're interested in. There's also tarot reading for stress also, and something I thought was actually quite interesting and definitely going to be reading up into more is horoscope and how you hold on to stress based on your zodiac sign. This is something that was started by Brian Kaw. He's a creator of stress audio, and he did this because, like everyone, including myself, stress is something that, again, is brought into many different facets of our lives, and trying different things at different times to make this so different for us. This is why he started stress audio. So if you want to learn more about this, you can head on over to stressaudio.com/reality times 2. That is stressaudio.com/REALITEAXTWO. And I'm back. So let's jump into episode 13, second episode of the ATA. So Javen enters the chat and he shakes Katisha's hand. It's weird. So Charlie, the rando pod dude, is inserting himself, saying everyone has to hash it out and blah, 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 blah. And how he just wanted to speak his thoughts. But as Bart says, your views are biased because this is the first conversation we've ever had. So clearly everything that you're saying is based on what Jed has told you, not what I've told you. So yeah, saying we have to hash it out or whatever isn't helpful. Then in walks Cal and Billy. And Cal, okay, so this is weird. I think he tries to hug Sarover, although she ain't about this shit. But she is like, you don't ask me. You don't read the room. You just go ahead and touch me without, essentially, she didn't use this word, but this is essentially what she's saying, consent. Billy, however, does hug Ashley. She seems to accept it a little bit more than Sarover did. Don't blame her, by the way. So Sophie, being her, tells Javen, you hear about Damola? So, of course, he had already kind of heard about Damola, but what he, I guess, didn't really understand or didn't know or didn't catch on to is that it was maybe a little bit more serious than Damola was saying. But I think what he also was saying is maybe it was more serious for Katisha than it actually was for Damola. More on that in a little bit. For I can't remember if it's this episode or the next one. But anyways, Jed says, the whole online thing, her kind of saying like, oh, people are attacking me and you're not supporting me, this and that. He says it, and I agree with him. She's not my responsibility. It's not really up to him to be like this supporting person or, fully support her when she made the choice to not marry him. Um, However, if what she's saying is true and he's kind of adding fuel to the fire, that's not cool. Of course, he says he cares, but it's just not for him to fix in a sense. Javon, now, he asks, Cal, let me ask, did you not think she would see the post of you her launching a new girlfriend? And he says, he just wasn't thinking. No, dude, you don't think. You literally don't think. And Kieran says, you should talk to her. Like, you should have maybe, well, I don't know, told her beforehand. That's what I'm saying. That this was what you were going to do. Just, to give her a heads up, just as a sign of respect. But Javon also shows his ass in this moment because he is who he is and says, no, he doesn't have to talk to her or explain things to her. She blocked you, meaning she blocked Cal, and saying, like, I don't want to do a conversation anymore. Excuse me? The difference is, I think he's really inserting a lot of his feelings about his situation with Katisha into this. Yes, you guys were engaged, but Cal and Sarover are actually married. And it's a little different. He does kind of owe her something. And she's blocked him, but according to her, he's blocked her as well. It's kind of gone both ways. So you do what you need to do to ensure that she knows this is what you're going to do. It's just a common courtesy that he doesn't think he owes her. So Katisha explains that she blocked Javon because I saw him talking bad about me online. And I think, again, her idea of him talking bad about her actually has to do with this podcast that he was on. That's the one where he said, oh, she tried to get back with me. I have the receipts. Show me the receipts. He's not going to show the receipts because they don't exist. But anyways, Katisha and Javon end up talking about this podcast comments that he made and about her, again, like I said, wanting to come back and, again, having the receipts. She says, we tried to give it a go and you made me seem desperate. Okay, here's the thing. Is Javon an absolute piece of shit? Yeah. Did he definitely not be who he should have been to her during, them being out of the pods, being engaged? Yeah, no, he definitely wasn't those things. He clearly was not into her. He clearly overstepped boundaries when when he was hitting hard on Sophie. But do I think that Katisha is not a desperate person, or at the very least, how she presents herself doesn't, whether or not that comes across as desperate? The thing is, yeah, I do think she can come across desperate. Even if that's not necessarily the case, she does come across that way. But again, I don't know if it's necessarily desperation in the sense of, she's desperate for love or a person or like whatever. I don't think it's that. I think her desperation actually is desperation for acceptance, desperation for validation, something that she clearly was not getting in previous relationships. That's what I think her desperation is stemming from. So yeah, anyways, she says, you didn't highlight the good parts of our relationship because I don't even think what good parts? What good parts? Katisha, honey, if the good parts are in the room with me, please tell me because I don't remember a single good part of your relationship that we saw filmed. If the good parts happened, well, we sure didn't see that. So he says, if you expressed your feelings, I can't alter my actions. I think that's what he said. He's like, I'm not, he said basically, like, if you're not telling me how you feel, like, you know, I can't alter what I do or alter my actions. He says, I'm not a mind reader. And she says, I don't think I have to explain how to act. No, you do not have to explain how to act. But what I think he's saying, and I do agree with him, if you are unhappy with something that he has said, you have to kind of give him a chance to fuck up again. Tell him, hey, Javon, don't like the things you said on that podcast. Can you please not do that again? Or I don't like what you said on that blog. Or I don't like what, you know what I mean? Do that, then see what happens. If he continues making comments like that make you uncomfortable, then block him. Then block him. You know what I mean? Let him show his ass to you first. Yeah, I do agree with him on that part. And she's like, I don't feel comfortable coming to you to talk when you don't validate. See what I mean? Desperation for validation that she has not gotten in any of her relationships thus far. And then that, you know, in this case, in this comment she's just made, definitely harbors uncomfortability for her. And she's like, I forget what I'm mad about when, you invalidate. Is like, well, maybe because there's nothing to be mad about. And boop, there it is. Like, you literally just did the thing that she accused you of. You're invalidating her feelings. And she's like, do you think I overthink? And she walks off saying he's lying about whatever it is he's lying about. Anyways, that's episode 13. Not a whole lot with this particular episode, but that is it for my episode. We'll be back tomorrow with another one. We're going to be finishing up the Love is Blind ATAs. Well, there's only one more episode, 14, and then we will be jumping into the ultimatum on the same episode and the next one. So Friday will be a world of Love is Blind / ultimatum. Anyways, that is it for me, guys. That is it for this episode. If you liked what you heard, bear with me because I have not done an outro for the podcast in quite some time. So bear with me here. So if you liked what you heard, you can go to any of your favorite podcast apps. You can follow, make sure you don't miss a single episode. And you can also rate the podcast at either Apple Podcasts or Spotify. It'd be greatly appreciated. As a reminder, any 5-star ratings that are given to the podcast or any comments that are given to the podcast will be read on the podcast, which I have done in the past. If you want to connect with the podcast through social media, you can find me at Facebook and Instagram at realityt2. You can also find me at Twitter, TikTok, and Blue Sky at realityt2pod. I believe you can email me at realityt2 at hotmail.com, and you can have any inquiries, anything like that, any ideas, any shows or episodes you want me to cover, you can definitely do that over there. And I am going back to our old website, and that is at solo.to/realityt2. There you can get any of the links to anything that I didn't mention here, any of the socials, website, email, all of that. It's all there for you. And we also have a new thing there where you can help support the podcast as well. It's called a tip jar. And you can tip whatever your heart's desire if you want to support the podcast, but don't want to necessarily support the podcast in going to Patreon, for example, or any of the links in any of the advertisements. You can do it there. But since we're on the topic of Patreon, you can head on over to patreon.com/reality tea times two, where there you can get access to even more than what I do here. There are 3 different tiers where you can get these shows ad free, as well as our next tier up where you would get um, another reality show that's being covered. So, we have Jersey Shore that's been getting covered. That's still being covered currently at the time of recording of this outro, but the future is bright with what's to come in the future, which I will be discussing, or I have discussed. I don't even know. And then also our next tier is a true crime tier as well. So you can definitely head over for that. But that is basically it. I will also just quickly mention here too, if you're interested in a different take of a podcast that I'm a part of, we do things a little differently. You can head on over to Next Take Podcast, where I usually drop bonus episodes here on this feed, but there you get a lot more. And that podcast is making changes. We're growing, doing new things, but you can definitely head on over there if you want to just hear a little bit different than what I do over here. So you can find that podcast over at our website, solo.to/next take podcast. And there we'll have all the links to your desire that will link you to any of your favorite podcast apps or YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all of it. Social medias, it's all over there. But of course, you can still find that podcast at any of your favorite podcast apps. But that is it for this episode. We'll see you next time with another episode. Bye, everybody.